Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Worthyworthitpriceless. I am your host, Tammy Simmons, and this podcast episode is all about starting over. And let me backtrack a little bit. I used to love reading, they called them chick lits. So it's just basically like women led hero type of literature, and they call it chick lit. But either way, I used to love these books. But the only thing that I kind of hated about the books were that they had the common theme. And that common theme was um they were basically living the life that they loved. You know, they had the boyfriend, they had everything. And then one day their boyfriend left and then they had to start over from scratch. And when I tell you, I was like, why is everybody, you know what I mean? Why does she have to have a breakup and then start over from a breakup and all this other stuff? And at the time, I didn't really realize until I had to go through that situation myself. And it was kinda like that, but it's not as glamorous or as short-lived, like, the grief part isn't as short-lived as it is in the books. And so, I wanna talk to you all who have had to start over. It may have not been a breakup. You may have lost a loved one. Whatever it may have been, it was sudden, and no one helps you through that process. It's just like, okay, well, it's just something that you have to get through. And then it's the point that there are days that you don't want to get up out of the bed. There's days that you still have to be a mom, you still have to go to work, and you have to put on the brave face and you have to just bear through it. And there's nobody to walk with you through it. And I want to be here to walk you through it. And I also want to let you know that I understand because I've been there. And some days I still have my days where it's like, hey, we're going to start back over from scratch. But every day that you wake up, it is a new day. And some days it's okay to just stay in the bed. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to sometimes, hey, you didn't get a chance to get to the laundry. You didn't get a chance to get to the dishes. You matter more than anything. And you have to take your time with yourself. What you've been through, most people may have not even survived that situation. And you're asking God, why me? Why did I have to go through that? It's because He knew that you could handle it. And there's something on the other side. It's a breakthrough. You will be the woman or man that you've always wanted to be. God will restore you to a place that you were even before you had that heartbreak and that loss. And at the end of the day, you just have to take it one day at a time. I'm not saying that you will totally forget about everything because that may not happen, but you'll be better because of it. You'll go on and you'll have that experience and you'll have something to grow from. So let's get started. So technically, you kind of already got started, but the thing is, realize that some days you're not going to want to get out of bed. And when you can, get out of bed. When you can't, don't. Don't rush the process because of anybody. Grieve for as long as you need to grieve. Just don't stay there. And some of you may say, well, I've been here for years. Okay. And some of that's fine. At the end of the day, however long it takes you, there's no time limit for what you've been through. Some of you have been maybe in marriages or relationships for like 30 years. And at the end of the day, this was all that you knew. This was the only person. This was your person. This was everything. And now they're ripped from you. Who is anyone to tell you that, oh, you have to get out of bed in 5 days. You have to get over this in a day. You have to get over it in an hour. No, that was your person. That was your thing. And even mothers, you may be dealing with the fact that your child went to college and your whole life was your child. And now at the end of the day, you're an empty nester and you have to start it all over. It's okay. Because what you'll be doing is you'll be grieving for that moment. And maybe it's just watching TV. That's fine. It's okay. You can do that. But eventually, one day, when the time is right, you'll be wanting to get out of the bed. You'll be wanting to open up the curtains. You'll be wanting to get the sunlight in, but do not rush the process trying to be whatever you think, what I mean, or however society makes you feel or however somebody else. Do not rush the process. And the reason why I'm harping on that so much is because I've done it. And you try to rush the process and everything, and then the next thing you know, like you're running on fumes, and the next thing you know, you have fell flat on your face. And you're like, man, now I got to get back into bed. You know what I mean? And like I said, every day is not going to be, I want to get up and conquer the world. And some days you might want to conquer the world, and some days you might want to go back into bed, and that's fine. But allow yourself, and this is the second point, allow yourself to feel the feelings. Because if you rush past that, then you have to keep going back to that. You know what I mean? Like, you know how, like, just say if you're reading a book or something, and you're like, okay, I can really figure this all out. I'm going to fast forward and I'm going to, probably go to the next chapter. Well, then something happens in that next chapter, and you're like, hold on, how do we get there? Who is this character? Who is this? And it's like, oh, now I got to go all the way back. It's the same thing. You know what I mean? Now you got to go back and read and whatever. And that's the same thing, even in your processing. Have patience with yourself. You are the only one. You have to be your biggest cheerleader because a lot of times you are going to be the only one that is there for you. So have patience with yourself. There is only one you. And at the end of the day, if you don't have patience with you or if you don't love yourself, then no one else is going to love you. Not the way that you're supposed to love yourself. The next point is don't blame yourself. I'm not saying don't take accountability, but also realize that you can't take all of the blame, especially if there's a two-person relationship, because you are only in control of your actions. You can only control what you do. You can't control what somebody else does. And then it goes into the point of don't beat yourself up like I should have did this or I could have. This is the thing. After the fact, you know all of the facts for the most part. So hindsight is 2020. You can say that now because you see all the pieces of the puzzle together. But while you were in it, you had the knowledge that you had to make the decisions that you made. So it's not a point of, oh my God, I should have did this. Yeah, you can say that after the fact. But don't blame yourself for the decisions that you made because you made the decisions based off the knowledge that you had and the experience that you had thus far at that point. But what I do want you to do is to start writing a journal. Start a journal and start processing what you're going through. Sometimes you're not gonna always have somebody there to listen to you, um, but the best thing that you can do is start writing out how you feel. That is a great form to get all of that out, and to, um but not only that, because I was thinking of something else, but, um, make sure that when you start writing, that you are honest with yourself, even if it's painful, even if it hurts. I remember my dad told me something that was very powerful, and it's something that I keep with me till this day. So when I was younger, like, just say I was quiet and stuff like that, but, um, I would always have, like, the same, reactions to certain things. Like, somebody asks me how I'm doing, I'm like, "I'm fine." If I maybe get in trouble by my parents or something like that, which was rare, but either way, if I ever got in trouble or anything, somebody might ask me, "Why did you do that?" And I'll be like, "I don't know." That was the easiest way to get people out your face. Be like, "I don't know." But I remember one time I was telling my dad, he asked me something. He was like, "Why did you do that?" And I was like, "I don't know." And he was like, "You do know. You do know." He was like, "Even if you don't tell me," he said, "you have to know it for yourself. Even if you're not honest with me, you have to know it for yourself." And from that conversation, and I was at a young age, but at that conversation, that's where I started being more self aware. That's where I started asking myself, how do you feel? And even if somebody asked me how I felt, I'm like, I'm fine. But then when I was by myself, I would ask myself how I felt. And then that's when I was able to tell myself the truth. And so in your journal, or even if journaling is not for you, if you're like me, you like talking to yourself, do that while you're talking to yourself. Say self, or, whatever your name is, how are you doing today? And like, I'm not doing so well. And be okay with saying, I'm not doing so well. Because you have to be honest with yourself. Take off the mask with yourself. Even if the world sees you as happy go lucky, but be able to take that mask off with yourself, because we know that you can't trust everybody, but you have to be able to trust yourself, especially in this moment. You may be in a place now where you don't know who you can trust, where the friends that you once had, you don't have them as friends anymore, especially if they came with your ex, or, however, you know how that goes. People switch Sometimes people switch up once the relationship is over, and they go back to their respected parties. If they came in with your ex, they're going to go out with your ex or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and with that, be okay with that. Don't take it personally. And I know it's hard because you've built this friendship with this person, but you have to realize it was based off of that situation. And the reason why I say try not to take it so personally, because you have to realize that they may not be able to go with you to the next level where you're going. They may not be invited to the next chapter. And I don't want to say the next level, because every time people sometimes think of that as being like a prosperity type of thing, but they may not be included into the next chapter. You see, even in the Bible, some people were only in one chapter, they were not in the next. They weren't even mentioned again. And sometimes that's how it is in your life. That season, or that person's, time in your life may be over. Don't take it personally if you can. Um, their season in your life is over. Their scene in your life is over. Lastly, for this episode, um, just take it one day at a time. Take it one day at a time. Don't think that you're going to be able to undo all of the damage and whatever that was done in a day. Nothing was really built in a day. Even the world wasn't built in the day. So at the end of the day, you realize that, like I said, some of you have been with that person the majority of your life, and this is probably the first time in your life being single and learning yourself. If I can say anything to possibly make you feel better, let this next chapter be an adventure of learning yourself the way that you probably would be if they never hurt you. Loving yourself is as if you never got hurt. Make it an adventure. What can we do today? Take yourself out on dates, things like that. Okay? You got this. And I know it may seem like this is the hardest thing in the world. And at this moment, it may be. I'm not going to sugarcoat. It sucks. You know what I mean? I'm not even going to, because I've been in the bed and I've been crying, and I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning just to cry and stuff like that. And you know what I mean? But what I can say from the other side, you will get through it. And I don't want to just be so optimistic about it. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it wasn't always like this. But I want to also give you encouragement that it won't always be like this. That's also from one of my songs. So, uh, but if you need some encouragement, um, I do have songs on Spotify under my full name, which is Tammy Michelle Simmons. If you are dealing with a breakup, I do have a book that is called Heal from the Hurt: Life After a Breakup. And that is on Amazon. And that is just under my first and last name, Tammy Simmons. I'm not selling those things to you, but if you need those types of encouragements, they are there for you. So, with that being said, always know that you have worth, you have value, you are worthy, worth it, and priceless. I love you.